Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? It's early, it's 7:22 p.m. and I'm vlogging. How are you guys doing? Alex is at home and he is catching up on all of his shows that he didn't get to watch over the weekend, or, you know, he usually watches his shows like on the weekend from the week. So last weekend, because he was in San Diego, he didn't get to watch his show, so he has like a whole week load of shows to catch up on. So he is just sitting in the chair watching one show after another, and I just filmed a drama video and put it up. My Peterisms video, this guy just went through the railroad track to get over here. Oh my God. Like, that's not a way to go, I don't think. But anyway, and I put up my drama video, and then my Peterisms video from yesterday, I never posted, so I posted it today. And then my vlog, I posted, from last night. So got everything up. And I was gonna do a booktube video, but Alex wanted to watch TV, so I was just kind of like, I'm just gonna let him watch TV and I'll do a booktube video tomorrow. But anyway, it's been kind of a lazy day and I haven't done a whole lot today. Had a bunch of errands and stuff I had to do today that I haven't done since I was out of town. And I've been kind of tired all day today. It's kind of felt like a fall day, not a spring day outside. It's been cool and kind of like, I wouldn't necessarily say foggy, but it's kind of fogalicious. It's kind of dewy outside. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but it's just, you know. What's the word I'm looking for? Downcast? That's not the word. It's just been a gray day. Very, very cloudy in Indianapolis. Looked like it was gonna like thunderstorm all day today, and then it hasn't. But with like no leaves on the trees, it looks like fall, kind of. I'm ready for spring. I'm really like, being at the house and, you know, sitting on the patio and stuff, like I'm really ready to like make our patio nice. Our neighbors are grilling out. They have like their driveways packed. They must be having people over tonight or something, because there's like 5 cars in their driveway and they're like grilling out on their patio and stuff. Alex and I couldn't figure it out. This evening we were like, what is that smell? It smelled like something was burning in our house. And then I was like sitting on the couch while he was watching the show, and I could see like the smoke coming from like the grill, and I was like, oh, they're grilling out, I get it. That's why it takes them so slow. The dogs are so tired. They have been so tired since I came home from the kennel. And Tanya said that they just ran and ran and ran and ran and ran and ran and ran. Especially Lil Boo Radley. Lil Boo Radley is so tired. I've been listening to my audiobook a lot today too. I know it's just a critique of a book, but like I was listening to it today, and I listened to like another hour or so of it, and then I kind of started feeling bad about what I had said about there being like a lot of like, it felt like Scout from To Kill a Mockingbird or Miss Seeley from Color Purple. I started feeling bad about saying that, because I was like, well, maybe not. Like, I was listening to it because I really love the book. Like, the book is fantastic. And it's just certain nuances that felt that way to me. But I was like, well, maybe that's not the case, you know? Maybe, you know? But, I mean, the writing is so unbelievable that she's had to, like, I mean, I'm sure she's somebody that's very well read and has, you know, read tons and tons and tons. And I can't believe that she hasn't read those books. And I think all of us, no matter what we do creatively, you know, like whether you're somebody that loves to cook creatively, or, you know, paint or write or, you know, crochet or whatever, that you probably even, you know, unknowingly pick up from other people that, you know, that are like that you've read or, you know, whatever. But, like, and today, reading about it, so you really grow up with the main character. Like, it's all about her growing up from, like, age 6, I think, on 6 or 7 on. And, like, the last couple chapters that I read are pretty profound chapters in her life, and I started feeling kind of a different way about it. I don't know. She's a pretty individual character, that I haven't really read a character like her before. So I'm not sure that I necessarily feel the same way. I do feel like this is crazy to me that people, like, go from here to here. It's like the railroad track over there. It's like this person just, you know, like those things that say turn only and it's this way, they, like, went across that way. It's like they do not care, and there's quite a bit of traffic outside. I mean, not tons, but enough. So yeah. But she's a really interesting character. I mean, she's so multi-layered. If you don't know what the book is about this girl, and she grows up, like, in the marsh, right? And I don't even know that they ever say what state it's in, but you assume it's, like, Louisiana or something, because the marsh goes out to the ocean. And she grows up in, like, this little shack in the woods. And when it starts, her mom leaves. And then her siblings leave. And it's just her and her dad. That all happens within, like, the first 5 pages. And then it's just her and her dad. And they've all basically left because of him. So, and then it goes on and it talks about her growing up in the marsh. And it's juxtaposed to, like, what people think of her and who she is, like, in town, because they don't know her, you know? And so it kind of plays upon this idea of really, like, we don't really know people until we get to know them, which I think is interesting too, you know? Like, I think it's interesting, this idea that we think we know somebody. I mean, in a very simple way, she kind of achieves that in the book, you know, and talking about that we really think we know somebody by what we see and whatever, or what they've put out there in the world, when we really know very little, you know, even sometimes with our closest friends and family. It's kind of interesting in reading a lot of true crime, you know, you wonder about the family, specifically, like, the wives of a lot of these men who, you know, were killing these people, and you're like, how, like, the question always comes, like, how did they not know? And it's interesting, like, with some of them, like the BTK killer, like, his wife, she had heard, like, on the news, like, him calling the police and stuff, and he didn't even really disguise his voice, and she always acted like she didn't know, you know? And then, but there's, like, you would kind of have to think something was going on, whereas then Ted Bundy, like most of the women in his life, I think his ex-girlfriend, I think she has a new documentary on Amazon or Hulu. I haven't watched it yet. I think it's on Amazon. I haven't watched it yet. It's like a 3-part series or something, I heard, maybe longer. I heard it was really good. I'm just not super interested in Ted Bundy anymore. And after I read the book, I just kind of was done. There's very few things that I remain interested in, or, like, what we've learned from it since after I'm done reading it. Like, the Golden State Killer is kind of unfinished, so that's still interesting to me. Columbine, that book was really interesting to me to see how it played out in further similar tragedies. Because other people that did the same thing used it as kind of a prototype, which is scary. Like even the Israel Keys case, like American Predator, I loved that book, but I thought it was very well done, but I kind of was done reading about him when it was a lot. But anyway, it's interesting to me that a lot of these friends and family don't really know like anything about these people. You know, like when you think about Richard Kuklinski, who is the guy, the contract killer for the mafia, like his family had no clue, but like he really didn't ever have a job or anything. Like, I mean, it was all kind of like a front, you know, and they lived really well. And they kind of assumed in the book, they kind of said that his wife kind of turned a blind eye. Well, anyway, the girlfriend of Ted Bundy, because she is in The Stranger Beside Me, they talk about her and stuff like that. Like, all of the girls that dated Ted Bundy, they thought he was weird. They thought something was off. Like, they talk about it in the book. And even Anne Rule talks about how at first she thought he was totally normal, but down the road, like, she thought there was something off about him. And then, what was the book that we just read? Butcher Baker. So the guy that, the police officer in the book, oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. Okay, so in Butcher Baker, Robert Hansen, his wife is like, goes to church, she's very involved in her church, good family, all that kind of stuff. And the police officer asks her at the end of the book something like, did you never know? You've never had any idea? And she never knew that, like, he was killing people. This person needs to decide if they're what they're gonna do. She never knew that he was killing people, but like a big part of his story is that he stole stuff all the time. And he was like addicted to stealing things. And she said that stuff would show up and she didn't know where he got it. And she just stopped asking after a while. Because she assumed that he had money for it. But I think she said something about, she just assumed maybe some of it was stolen or something like that. But like, he actually felt bad for her in the book because, you know, she didn't seem to know what was going on. When you read about Eileen Wuornos, what's interesting with her is like that Ty, her girlfriend, she sold her up the river and told, like, she went to the authorities. Well, no. After Eileen got caught, she switched sides and was a witness for the prosecution. And was, if you watch the documentaries, it's real weird. She taped Eileen. She basically baited her on the phone and recorded her for the police, and then said that she was, and then Eileen said later, you couldn't really tell in the last documentary, it's kind of hard to tell whether or not Eileen has kind of lost it, or, you know, like, what's going on. She's very paranoid. Well, I mean, she probably had kind of lost it long before that, you know. Obviously, she's killing all these people. But she got very paranoid about, like, them, and maybe it was true, I mean, I don't know, but like every room being tapped and wired and whatever, and that the police and Ty, her ex-girlfriend, who she was still in love with, were like trying to sell the rights to a movie company, which it was suggested later, it came out, and that was like, there was supposedly some truth to that, which I thought was interesting, that she had said it in the documentary. But so yeah. And then, what was I gonna say? I'm trying to think of other books that were kind of weird like that, where people were implicated in it. Oh, but the Ty, she knew the whole time what Eileen Wuornos was doing. She didn't go to the police then, and she wasn't afraid of Eileen Wuornos. And then I think she got off, like, I think she traded immunity or something. And then, like, with the John Wayne Gacy situation, he had guys working for him that were basically digging the trenches underneath his house where he was burying bodies. And like they kind of assumed that they like knew what it was for, but they acted like they didn't or something. I don't know. It's always interesting to me when you read about these people who have like some kind of idea of the involvement of it and whatever. And Robert Hansen, who is part of Butcher Baker, or he was the Butcher Baker killer, he from Alaska, like he was friends with like some of like the top citizens in that town, like councilmen, I think, and stuff like that, who vouched for him. Like they gave false alibis for him, which was why, like, for a long time they misled the police. I think something happened to one of them. I can't remember. God, it seems like that was a long time ago that I read that book, and it really wasn't that long ago, you know? I think the thing about true crime is that there's always like more questions to be asked, you know? And so with certain things, it continues to be interesting afterwards. I was telling Mel, like, one of the things that's interesting to me, you know, like with the Golden State Killer right now, he's saying that he'll tell them everything if they take the death penalty off the board, right? Which I think he's like 74 anyway, and in all reality, like by the time that he was executed, he would probably have died of natural causes anyway. But it's always like when you read these books, Butcher Baker was this way. American Predator, he was definitely, Israel Keyes was definitely this way. John Wayne Gacy was this way. And now the Golden State Killer, and there's been others. Ted Bundy was definitely this way with the guy that came and interviewed him. And what's interesting about it is Henry Lee Lucas was like that too. That they're very like they're the ones that like are in control of the police or they feel that way. And the police to some degree feel like they have to like appease that. It's like really sick when you read it, right? Like that they have to appease these guys because they want to find the bodies. They want to find what happened to these victims. And I understand that, right? Like I get it. It makes a lot of sense when you think about it that way. And so, you know, they're worried that these guys are going to just shut down completely and not talk and not tell them anything when they could close cases. They could give family members closure and things like that. So they try to get as much as they can. But what's so sick is that when you're reading about it, I mean, like literal police documentaries, okay, of how the conversations went. Like, they'll say things like, well, I want this, and if you don't give it to me, I'm not going to say anything else. You know, like, Israel Keyes, they brought cigarettes to and candy every single day. Henry Lee Lucas, if you watch that show, Confession Killer, I mean, it was ridiculous what he got. He was eating fast food. I mean, he was living better than he lived on the outside, you know? Ted Bundy, it was not that like that, but he was, you know, getting cigarettes and all kinds of stuff. And, with Butcher Baker, it wasn't so much like that, but he said, Robert Hansen was talking about his family, and this was kind of similar to American Predator, that he said, which is interesting because they're both from Alaska, but he said, I want this all taken care of so my family has time to get out of here. Like, I don't want there to be like 5 press conferences. I will tell you everything, but then you have to put it out all at once. Basically saying, like, I don't want this to linger with my family and it be this ongoing news story for like the next year, right? So his kids would have to suffer. Oh, I did talk about this on here because I said it was interesting to me that these men had consciences about their family, but not about killing people. But then yet again, they're like, okay, they promise them these things. They're like, okay, you know, we'll do that so that you continue to tell us things. But then they're like, oh, well, we're not going to, I don't know. The whole thing is very interesting to me, you know. But the way these books are written is from a profiling point of view. So it's almost like, it seems like everything, they already know everything. You know what I mean? Like, the police and these investigators and the FBI already know everything, how to handle this situation. But to me, it seems like they're not the ones in control when you're reading the case, you know? But I was telling all these stories in my review video yesterday about, like, when I was in high school. I was thinking about all this stuff, and I was talking about, it was funny. I was thinking about this one friend of mine, and so, you know, I had like 4 girlfriends in high school, right? And one girlfriend of mine, I mean, like, I always had like 4 mainstays, and then there were like, you know, 2 or 3 that were like, you know, would come into the picture and then go out, come into the picture and go out. But anyway, I have this one good friend of mine in high school. She worked at Burger King. She worked her butt off. And like, when we would be like partying on a Friday night or something like that, she'd have to be at work at 5 a.m. or something ridiculous on Saturday, so she couldn't go out with us and whatever. But every once in a while she would. Well, she worked with this girl named Naomi, and Naomi had given her driver's license because it had like she was moving, or I can't remember what happened, but anyway, like, she got a new driver's license and then found her old one because she thought she had lost it or something. So she gave her old driver's license because she and my friend looked vaguely similar, and by vaguely similar I mean they both had red hair, and that was about it. And which is funny because like 4 of my friends in high school had red hair. So anyway, but the driver's license was Naomi, and we would be like, come on, go buy some alcohol. We always wanted her to buy us Boone's Farm, right? But like, Boone's Farm for us meant like we each got a bottle, and then, you know, like, then she would get like a case of beer and we'd split that. And she didn't want to go into we would have her go into the grocery store and get it. And she'd be like, no, I don't want to go tonight. I'm afraid. We'd be like, come on. And we would go, come on, Naomi, don't you know me? We called her Naomi, don't you know me? We'd be like, come on, Naomi, don't you know me? She'd finally go in. She'd be like, fine, but this is the last time that I'm ever doing it. We knew it wasn't. We'd sat out in the car and smoke cigarettes and wait for her to come out. And she'd come out, and we were like, yes. She usually didn't drink either. I think she was the one that was driving most of the time. I will say that we were weird about that in high school. Like, one of us wouldn't drink and would drive everybody else around, and then we would just like, everybody else would just sit in the car. Or we went back over to our one friend's house. My one friend, she had an older brother that, like, when we were in high school, he was in college. She also dated a guy that when we were like, I think she was like a year ahead of me. So when I was like 17, she would have been like 18 or something. But like, she started dating him when she was a freshman and he was a senior. So he was older by the time we were in high school. And he and his friends would like buy alcohol and like bring it over, and like when her parents were out of town for the weekend, we'd all drink in the basement. But he would be like, no alcohol leaves this house, and all this kind of stuff. We'd make fun of him. We'd be like, no alcohol leaves this house and stuff like that. And but my one friend, I can remember, this is my friend that I knew, like, she was my good Judy all through, you know, junior high, elementary, and everything. But anyway, this one time, she had, like, wine coolers and, like, a bottle of Boone's Farm, everything just fruity, right? And Purple Passion, and she had, like, all around her. She goes, everything's berries. We got into a fight with him because we were, like, trying to leave, and we were trying to sneak out. My friend was like, come on, let's just sneak out. And, oh, God, okay, so this is a funny story. I don't know if some of these things I don't know if I've told on here before or not, but so we were trying to sneak out, and he like wouldn't let us leave and take the alcohol. I don't know, we ended up staying there finally forever, but my one friend wasn't drinking that night. There was like 4 of us, and so that friend of mine, she lived literally 1 street over from where my mom lived. And so we got in the car, and my friend was like, okay, I'm gonna take you guys home or whatever. And like, they took me to my mom's house, and I'm like, I'm staying at my dad's house this weekend, right? Because I left my car at that girl's house. And they're like, you're what? And my dad's house is like 25 minutes from my mom's house. So they had to drive me all the way out there and all the way back. They were so pissed. And I was just drunk as a skunk. I don't know how I ever got it in my dad's house. My dad was he still is probably a very light sleeper. There were a few incidences that I came in the house and, like, probably couldn't get the key in the lock and was just completely screwed up, you know, and my dad would be standing on the other side of the door, not happy with me whatsoever. Somebody's texting me. I need to pull in here and see who it is. Who's this? Arlena sent me something funny. Hey, Arlena. One time, my friends, I wasn't with them, but, well, this happened a couple different times that we all told our parents we were sleeping over at somebody's house, and we weren't, you know, we were sleeping over at somebody else's house or whatever. But, like, my parents didn't really care. Oh my God. Okay, I gotta go back in there. My battery's about to die. I don't even know if I have the other battery with me. Oh, my husband is calling me. All right, I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I'm back. Battery changed. I don't know what that person is staring at me for. Oh, they're probably like, why is that guy going so slow? Well, I'm vlogging. That's what I'm doing. If I even turn the light on, will it matter? Alex was asking me if I wanted to go get something. He's like, are you hungry? Or I'm like, I'm not really hungry right now. So he's gonna run out and get something to eat. Bring it home. Oh, what was I gonna tell? I was gonna tell a story about my friends. So my friends, the first time this happened, like, my parents didn't really care. Like, if I had called my parents and I had said, like, hey, I'm gonna stay over at GD Smith's house, do you care? My parents would have been like, no, that's fine. You know, just let me know where you're at. And usually I could just, like, you know, he's waving to me. Usually I could just be, you know, I mean, I'd be real honest about it. I didn't have to lie because my parents were like, okay. I mean, sometimes, you know, if there were people that they didn't trust, I wouldn't tell them that I was staying over there, but that wasn't the majority of the time, you know? And, so anyway, but my friends, this was back before we had cars, because they had a moped. My one friend had a moped, and, somebody was supposed to be staying at somebody's house, and somebody was supposed to be staying at somebody's house. And I can't remember who it was, but somehow they were, like, both on the mopeds, and they were, like, driving down the road. And one of their moms saw them, and it was like, something happened, and the mom had to go out at, like, 2 o'clock in the morning or something. I can't remember what it was about, but the mom had to, like, go out. And so she's, like, driving down the street, and my two friends are on their moped, just, like, not supposed to be being out, supposed to be being over at this other person's house, but they aren't even over there at all. And they got in so much trouble. That was back in the day when everybody had pagers too. Do you remember that? I always wanted a pager. I think the only time I was ever on a moped maybe was with my dad. My dad, when I was growing up, had seen so many moped and he had seen so many moped and motorcycle accidents in his life that he really put the fear of death in me about it. When my dad was doing his residency in Chicago, he worked at Cook County Hospital, and he would see horrible, horrible, horrible accidents from people on motorcycles and mopeds. And there were two things, well, there were three really big rules, but two things that I was absolutely not permitted to do when I was growing up per my father. One was mow the lawn, because he said he had seen so many lawnmower accidents with, like, adults even, not just kids, who lost feet because they mowed the lawn in shoes that were not appropriate, or flip-flops, or barefoot, or whatever, or, you know, like, just shoes that were kind of real thin. And the other thing was that because my dad worked in the emergency room forever. And the other thing was that I wasn't allowed to be on a moped or a motorcycle, period. I mean, like, that would have been, I think I would have been grounded for life, because he had seen so many horrible accidents. The other thing that my dad was a stickler for when I was growing up is that when you, like, are going into a store, that you don't press on the glass. You always, like, press with, like, the door handle, because he had seen so many accidents, because, my dad's specialty was hand reconstruction. So he had seen so many accidents of people that would put their hands right through the glass panel. He's like, you don't really realize the force that you're putting on a door when you hit it. He goes, but, like, that was, like, one of the things that he had operated on the most. And so, like, those three things were, like, huge deals to me, or huge deals to him when I was growing up. My uncle one time, I think I have told this story on here, my uncle one time had me mow the lawn and taught me how to mow the lawn, and I thought it was real fun and whatever, and my dad found out. This was my Uncle Dave. My dad found out, and he was pissed. He was, like, really, really pissed. But my dad was real weird about safety like that when I was growing up with stuff. I remember before my parents got separated, we had, or maybe my dad came over after they got separated, but we had this, like, chain ladder that was in a box. My mom kept it underneath her chair in her bedroom, like, from the day that we moved in there always. I don't ever remember it not being underneath that chair. I think it was, yeah. And it was this, like, chain link ladder that had these hooks on it that you hooked underneath the window. I think this is so weird in retrospect. And anyway, we would do these fire drills. We didn't, like, we only did, like, 2 or 3 of them, I think, ever. But, like, my dad would say, like, if you smell smoke and you're in your bedroom, you come to your mom's room, and then, like, this is how you put the ladder down, and then you, like, go down, we never had to use it, thank God. That ladder is probably in my basement somewhere. I'd forgotten all about that. My mom had kind of a cool bedroom too, like, when I was growing up. So, like, when you walked in, there was, like, a sitting area, and both of the windows kind of sat back in like this, because it was like, the house was like this, it was like a French farmhouse. And then in the corner, so, like, the corner kind of was slanted into, and it had a little side window over there. Her bed fit in the corner. She had, like, a king size bed, and she had this wallpaper that was, like, these little yellow flowers everywhere. It was so pretty. And so when you walked in, there was, like, a sitting area with, like, a TV and stuff, and then, like, the bedroom area, and it was all, like, one big room. And then, but the ceiling was slanted. And then to the left, you walked in, it was the bedroom, or the bathroom, and it was a double vanity. And then, like if you were facing the double vanity and the huge mirror, to your back was the walk-in closet. And it was a big walk-in closet. And then if you kept on walking through where the vanity was, or not the vanity, but the 2 sinks is what I meant. There was a bathtub, and then if you walked down, there was, like, a toilet, and there was, like, a stand-up shower, and then it had a window that, like, looked down like the other ones. And there was also, like, this heat lamp thing in there that you could, like, turn on. I remember I was always real fascinated with it when I was a kid. You could turn it on, and it would, like, heat the bathroom, like at a gym, like if you were trying to, like, dry off in there. And yeah. I used to love my mom's bedroom. I thought it was so cool. It's always interesting to me that I have, like, all of these, like, I don't have, well, I wouldn't say they're nightmares, and I wouldn't say they're dreams. I have, like, mixed dreams about my mom's house, the house that I grew up in. I guess it was my house too. But, I'll have dreams about, like, the weirdest things. The only dream that I've had about PB since he's passed, really, is in that house. He was in my bed, my bunk bed. That was the only dream, but it didn't feel like a dream where he was visiting me or anything like that. So, I miss miss that little guy so much. I introduced Boo and Tucker to Pee-Pee the Flying Chihuahua that Mel made for me. I need to text her this because she was wanting to know what they thought. It was so funny. Like, they just kind of sat there and like looked at him for a second. And then Tucker kept on smelling him like crazy. I think Tucker smelled Mel's dogs on the little Pee-Pee dog, the little Pee-Pee stuffed animal. But he's sitting next to, he sits like on my table now. And Tucker just kind of sat there and was like looking at it. It was so cute. Seems a lot later than 8:11. I don't know how late it seems, but it seems like it's a lot later. You know, I hated at times being at school when I was in high school. But like, not every day was hell. You know, I had some good days, some fun days at school. It's interesting to me in retrospect, you know, there would be like a whole week that would go by that like my bullies would pay me no attention whatsoever. And I would have a good week, you know? And then there were other weeks where it seemed like it was like every day. And there was really no rhyme or reason to it. So I never knew when it was going to happen. So I was always kind of on high alert. But there were a lot of days that like I had good times while I was at school too. It wasn't all pure hell, you know? And, you know, I think that's what I would tell anybody going through that. It was like, you know, it's not all bad. And you have to like try to, you know, I don't know. I think in retrospect, I think I would have gotten more involved if I knew what I knew today. I think if I had gotten more involved, it might have helped. Because even though I had gone to school for 12 years with the same kids, I didn't really know them. They didn't really know me, except for that we had shared space in school, you know? And I think if I had actually gotten to know kids better, like, it's weird to me that people, like, were so friendly to me at the reunion, and everybody that I went to high school with, in all honesty, is really friendly to me today. I mean, people are so friendly to me today. And I almost kind of think, like, I mean, I wasn't being asked, but had I been asked to, like, go to those parties, of which I never would have gone to anyway, but had I, because I had all friends that were girls, I do kind of think that there would have been a way for me to kind of like circumvent that group, and I could have even been who I wanted to be and whatever. I don't know, I didn't have the confidence and the self-esteem that I have today, you know, and I still struggle with it, and I'm still insecure. But had I not been, and had I had an attitude of, I don't really care what you think about me, and I've been like showed up to these popular parties with girlfriends of mine that were more popular or whatever, do I think that the kids would have just been like, yeah, that's just Peter or whatever, and like accepted me on some level? I do think so. I really do. You know, and I'm not saying that it was my fault that they treated me that way, because that wasn't the case. I mean, I didn't ask for it, you know, and I didn't set myself up. But in retrospect, I think the way that I handled it, I don't know. I remember going to my reunion, and of course everybody's older and they're not acting the same way, right? But I remember going to my reunion and people being like honestly interested in who I was, and thinking to myself, I wonder if I had allowed myself to open up to some of these people. Not all of them. I mean, some of the people were still, you know, not very nice, but if I had opened myself up to some of these people more when I was in high school, would my experience have been different? And not just easier, but like more fun. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't have killed me to join a group here and there, you know? I never joined anything. I was never a part of anything. But that was not so much about being bullied as that was just my anti-establishment attitude when I was in high school, which is 100% what it was. I mean, if it was part of a sport or part of a group or part of anything, I didn't want any part of it. And in fact, you know, I mean, I was in orchestra. I played the violin horribly. I was horrible. But a lot of that was just because A, it was an easy grade, and B, because I had been in it so long that I thought that it made my mom happy. And so I stayed in that. Plus I had some friends in orchestra. It was kind of a constant of mine because I had been in it since like 6th grade. And, but like with that, I did very much feel like I was part of something, you know? And there were popular people that were in orchestra that were very friendly to me because we were in orchestra together and were very nice to me, you know? Because we had that. So I wonder, like, in retrospect, had I participated more, had I been more part of a group, you know, anything, would I have been more accepted? I don't know. You know, I look back and there were other guys that were effeminate when I was in high school too. And, you know, many of them were in choir and drama class. Surprise, surprise. You know, but they were, like, they had girlfriends that were in choir that were some of the most popular girls or in drama in the school. And so since they were friends with them, they didn't get bullied that way, right? And I wonder, like, had that been my situation? But the difference was that, A, I was real effeminate. B, I dressed real different. And C, so I brought a lot of attention to myself. And C, my friends and I were straight up punk rock. I mean, we didn't fit in. And so it was like, all of that together, I think, worked against, I think I was like easy pickings, you know? I wish I had stood up a little bit more for myself. But, you know, then had I done that, would I be who I am today? I wouldn't be who I am. I had to go through that, you know, to be who I am today. But I feel like I missed out on a lot of experiences. I think, like, I wonder, had I done that, would I have gone to like a college or a university campus? Because at the time, me getting an apartment and going to a city school felt comfortable. It felt right. It still does in retrospect, like I made the right decision. But I wonder, you know, like, Mel loves the book Prince of Tides. And if you've seen the movie with Barbra Streisand and Nick Nolte at the end of it, he is going over the bridge and he says Streisand's name, Lowenstein. I think it's Lowenstein. He's like, he says something like, if for every man there were 2 lives, you know? I wonder that at times, you know, it's like, I talk a lot about my addiction and my recovery and stuff, but this, like, that desperate life that I took starting at a young age and then getting sober has been, in all honesty, kind of an amazing life. You know, it's been an amazing journey. Were there really tough times that I had to go through to get to where I'm at today? Absolutely. You know, but I'm here, and I think some of the things that I have in my life, or the people that are in my life, like, I would never have known Tanya, you know? The things that I have in my life, I have as a result of all that road that brought me where I'm at, which is why I very much believe in this journey, you know, the synchronicity that we have in our lives. But, you know, I wonder, had my life taken a different road, had I gone to fashion school like I wanted to go to, had I gone to college on a campus, you know, had I moved to Chicago or New York, I really do think that my addiction would have swallowed me up faster in places like that. Maybe I wouldn't even be here today, you know, that I'd be dead. I don't know. Like, you know, I kind of wonder sometimes, or would I have pulled it together, or, you know, would I have maybe met a group of people that didn't drink and drug and my experience would have been different? Who knows, you know? But I wonder that sometimes. I have to go to the bathroom so bad. I'm going to pull into this gas station up here. At one point, I wanted to write a book about, like, the night that I got sober, like if I hadn't gotten sober that night, you know, and it being like a book of fiction, though, about a person that, like, one road they take, they get sober, and the other road they never do, you know, and like what that would look like. But I always wonder about that when you talk about, like, multiple dimensions and things like that, and, you know, the whole idea, the physics idea that we right now have many different lifetimes. If you've read A Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, like, that's what it's about. That there's constantly, like, for every decision that you make, there's another life that splits off, that you is having a different life doing something different completely, and there's, like, literally millions upon millions of realities of any one given life. It's weird to think that way, isn't it? I think it's weird to think that way, but interesting thoughts. We'll probably never know those things in our lifetime. I need to get gas too. If gas is, because it's still at that one gas station, it's still $1.87. It was $1.81 when I went by there earlier. So if it's $1.81, I'm gonna go there and get gas. But if this gas station up here has gas cheap, I will get it there. But if not, I'm just gonna go inside and use the restroom. It's a scary thing to think, like, you know, I mean, it's a good question I'd ask you, you know, like, would you change parts of your life if you could? Because then you wonder, like, well, how much of those parts brought you to where you're at? You know what I mean? Like, to who you are today. Would you change it or would you not? You know, if you could or if you, I mean, you can't, obviously, but if you could, what would you change? What age would you go back to, you know? I don't know if I would. I don't think I would. Maybe I would. You can't pick and choose the things, you know, that you went through, though. I get rid of this and take this, you know what I mean? Interesting thoughts, though. Well, listen, you guys, I think I'm going to start closing this out because I wanted to do a shorter vlog tonight anyway, but it's 20 minutes. I've at least gone like 40 some minutes long. So I'm coming up on the gas station, so I'm going to close it out now. So I hope you guys are having an amazing, well, first of all, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. It means the world to me. If you've made it this far, put a blue heart in the comment section below. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure that you're still subscribed to my channel. And I hope you guys are having an amazing Thursday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, don't have other plans. Make the most of your day. Do something fun today. Do something exciting. Do something that will make yourself proud when you look back on today in your life, no matter if it's 5 years, 5 days, 10 years, 10 days, 10 weeks, 6 months. Do something that will make yourself proud in the future. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you do your daily positive affirmations and you say to yourself, I love you, you are valuable, you matter, you are worthy. You are worthy of good things. Good things are coming your way. You are beautiful, you are handsome, you are funny, you are talented. I said a new one yesterday and I can't remember what it was, but anyway. And today is going to be an amazing day filled with opportunities, laughter and joy, friendship, peace and serenity. And 2020 is going to be the best year yet, full of opportunity, and lots of great things are going to come your way in 2020. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. It's going to be the best year ever this year. 2020 is the best year ever of your life. And most importantly, make sure that you let other people in your life know how much they mean to you. Pick somebody out at random and just say, hey, I just want to let you know you really, really mean a lot to me. I love you. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for having a profound effect on my life. Thank you for being there for me. And maybe write somebody a little card. Remember we were going to do that? And yeah, and don't forget, practice random acts of kindness. Practice random acts of kindness. And what do we say? Don't tell anyone. And let's see what the gas is here. Oh, $1.99. Still not as cheap as the other place, so I'll be driving over there. Anyway, don't tell anyone. Random acts of kindness, and don't tell anyone. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya. I have to surprise you when I'm going to do a little extra I love you at the end. So here's the extra surprise. Surprise! I love you, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. I love you, 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 I love you. Bye. Love ya.